For years. That's how long we'd been together when I decided tonight would be the night. I had everything planned down to the last detail. The reservation at Meridian, the kind of place where you need to book 2 months ahead and where a single appetizer costs more than most people's grocery bills. The private corner table, the champagne already chilling, and in my jacket pocket, a small velvet box that represented 6 months of overtime and weekend projects. I arrived early, checked with the host, made sure everything was perfect. When she walked in, every head turned. She had that effect. Designer dress, perfect hair, that confident smile she wore like armor. She kissed my cheek without looking at me, already scanning the room to see who might recognize her. "This place is gorgeous," she said, pulling out her phone before she even sat down. "My followers are going to love this." I watched her angle the phone, snap photos of the table setting, the wine list, everything except me. The waiter came. She ordered without looking up from her screen, then immediately went back to typing. So I was thinking. I started, trying to steer us toward an actual conversation. "Hold on, babe. I'm posting the story." Her fingers moved across the screen. Tap, tap, tap. She laughed at something, showed me her phone. "Look, I already have 500 views." The waiter brought our appetizers. She photographed them from 3 different angles before taking a bite. Then her phone buzzed. She picked it up, started typing furiously. "Is everything okay?" I asked. "Christine is having a meltdown about her breakup. I need to talk her down." She held up one finger. "Give me just a second." That second turned into 10 minutes. The appetizers got cold. I sat there, watching her face glow from the phone screen, wondering when this became normal. When did I become background noise in my own relationship? "Hey," I said quietly. "Can we just have one dinner? Just us? No phones." She looked up, and I saw something flash in her eyes. Irritation, like I'd just asked her to cut off her own arm. "Seriously? Tonight?" She set her phone down hard enough that the silverware rattled. "Do you have any idea how much work it takes to maintain my platform? I have brand deals depending on my engagement rates." "I know. I'm just asking for." "You're asking me to ignore my career for what? So we can sit here and stare at each other?" Her voice was rising. People at nearby tables were starting to glance over. "This is my job. This is important." I felt the weight of the ring box in my pocket. Suddenly, it felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. "I get that it's important," I said, keeping my voice level. "But so are we. So is this. I planned this whole evening because..." "Because what?" She cut me off, leaning forward. Her expression was something I'd never seen before. Cold. Calculating. "Because you wanted my attention? Because you think you deserve it more than my 40,000 followers." The restaurant felt very quiet all of a sudden. "Let me explain something to you," she continued, and her voice had this edge that made my chest tight. "I'm the one people notice when we walk in here. I'm the one with opportunities. With options. You're my partner, sure, but let's be genuine about what this is." She paused, making sure she had my full attention. "You depend on me more than I depend on you. Way more. You get to be with someone people actually want to be. Someone who brings value to your otherwise ordinary existence. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to behave right. Pay this bill like the supportive boyfriend you signed up to be, and stop acting like your needs matter more than my career. Or," she picked up her phone, waved it slightly, "or I'll find someone else who actually understands what it means to be with someone like me. Someone who gets that being my support system is the best thing that'll ever happen to them. Your choice." She smiled then, picked up her wine glass, took a sip like she hadn't just detonated a bomb at our anniversary dinner. I didn't say anything. Couldn't. The ring box felt like it was burning a hole in my pocket. Every word I'd planned to say, every vision I'd had of this night, just dissolved. I caught the waiter's eye. "Check, please." She went back to her phone, assuming the conversation was over. Assuming she'd won. Assuming I'd absorbed the lesson and would fall back in line like I always did. I paid the bill, tipped well, helped her with her coat, drove her home in complete silence. She took the silence as sulking, as me accepting my place. She had no idea what it actually was. The drive home was 23 minutes of absolute silence. She spent it scrolling through comments on her posts, occasionally laughing at something someone said. At one red light, she glanced at me. "You're not going to pout all night, are you?" I didn't answer, just kept my eyes on the road. She sighed dramatically. "Fine, be that way." When we got to the penthouse, she kicked off her heels in the entryway and headed straight for the bedroom, still glued to her phone. "I'm exhausted," Don't wake me up early tomorrow. I have a brunch thing at 11. I stood in the living room, listening to her getting ready for bed. The water running, her skincare routine, the phone notifications continuing to ping even as she settled in. Within 20 minutes, I heard her breathing change. She was asleep. I sat on the couch and finally pulled out the ring box. Opened it. The diamond caught the city lights coming through the floor-to-ceiling windows. 3 carats. Platinum band. Exactly what she'd pointed out in a magazine 6 months ago, casually mentioning it was the kind of ring a girl dreams about. I'd worked every weekend since then. Took on extra projects. Skipped lunches to save money. All for this moment that never happened. I closed the box. Set it on the coffee table. And then I started thinking with the kind of clarity that only comes at 3 in the morning when your entire future just changed direction. The penthouse. My name on the lease. I'd signed it 2 years ago when we decided to move in together. She'd picked it out, decorated it, filled it with furniture that cost more than my first car. I paid for all of it. The SUV in the parking garage. Registered to my company. Insurance under my name. She drove it like it was hers, but legally, it wasn't. Her phone plan. Her credit cards, her gym membership, her subscription services, her entire lifestyle. I pulled out my laptop and started making a list. Every single thing that had my name, my money, my authorization attached to it. The list got longer than I expected. By the time the sun started coming up, I had a complete picture of exactly how much of her world existed because I was holding it up. She'd call me her support system. She had no idea how accurate that was. At 5 a.m., I packed a single bag. Clothes for a week. My laptop. Important documents. The rest could wait. I took one last look at the bedroom where she was still sleeping peacefully, completely unaware that her entire existence was about to shift. I grabbed the ring box from the coffee table. My first stop was the jewelry store where I'd bought it. They didn't open until 10, so I sat in my car in the parking lot, watching the sun come up, making phone calls. First call. The dealership where I'd registered the vehicle tracking and remote lockdown service. I need to activate the security features on my SUV. They walked me through the process. One click, and I could shut down that car from anywhere. Second call, the phone company. I need to make changes to my family plan. The representative was cheerful and helpful. Explained exactly how to remove a line and transfer it to a basic pay-as-you-go setup. Third call, my bank. I need to remove an authorized user from my accounts. They scheduled an appointment for later that morning. Fourth call, the building management. As the sole leaseholder, I had every right to modify who had access to the property. I need to update my authorized guests list effective immediately. By the time the jewelry store opened, I had dismantled the infrastructure of her entire world. Or rather, I'd reclaimed what was always mine to begin with. The jeweler remembered me. Back so soon. Is everything all right? I handed him the box. Change of plans. I need to return this. He looked uncomfortable, but professional. Opened the box, examined the ring, pulled up my receipt in his system. Our return policy is 30 days, and you're well within that. I can process a full refund. The money hit my account 20 minutes later. Every penny I'd saved, back where it belonged. I sat in my car, looking at the balance on my phone. This wasn't revenge money. This was freedom money. I checked my watch. She'd be waking up soon, probably reaching for her phone, checking her notifications, planning her day. A day that was about to go very differently than she expected. I sent one text to the building's front desk. Please deliver the prepared items to my unit at noon. Then I turned off my phone and drove to a coffee shop across town. I ordered breakfast. Ate slowly. For the first time in months, I actually tasted my food. Around 10 a.m., I turned my phone back on. 47 missed calls, 63 text messages, and one very panicked voicemail. I listened to it while finishing my coffee. Her voice was shaking. What did you do? What the hell did you do? I deleted it and ordered another coffee. She woke up around 9, like she always did. I knew her routine by heart. She'd scroll through her phone for 20 minutes before getting out of bed, check her follower count, respond to comments, plan her content for the day. This morning was different. I got the notification on my laptop around 9:47 a.m. The SUV's GPS showed it leaving the parking garage. She was heading toward her usual salon in the downtown area. $40 blowouts every Thursday. Routine as clockwork. I waited until she was on the highway. Heavy traffic. No easy exits for the next 2 miles. Then I opened the app and pressed the button. The GPS that stopped moving almost immediately. My phone rang within 30 seconds. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. She called again from a different number. Then another. I turned the phone face down and ordered a pastry. The text started coming through from numbers I didn't recognize. Answer your phone. This isn't funny. The car just died. I am on the highway. I took a bite of the pastry. It was excellent. Raspberry filling with just the right amount of sweetness. She finally got the car towed to the side of the road. I could see it all on the tracking app. Then the GPS showed her at a shopping center nearby. She'd probably borrowed someone's phone to call an Uber. That's when the second wave hit her. I watched the timestamps roll in through my email. Payment declined. Payment declined. Payment declined. She was trying to use the credit card for the ride. The credit card that I just called the company about an hour ago. I need to report fraudulent charges and remove an authorized user. They've been very understanding, very efficient. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't know. Whoever this is needs to call me back now. My cards aren't working and I'm stranded. I didn't respond. Instead, I pulled up the phone carrier's website and confirmed the changes I'd made that morning. Her line was now disconnected from my plan. She'd have service until the end of the current billing cycle, which happened to end today. In about 3 hours, her phone would stop working entirely. She'd have to find that out on her own. Another text came through, this time from yet another borrowed phone. I know you can see these messages. This is childish. We need to talk like adults. I almost laughed. Adults. She wanted to talk like adults now. Not last night when she dressed me down in front of a restaurant full of people. Not when she told me I should be grateful she even bothered with me. My coffee had gone cold. I ordered a fresh one and moved to a seat by the window where I could watch people walking by. Normal people. People going to work. People meeting friends. People living lives that didn't revolve around follower counts and brand deals. Around noon, I got a call from the building's front desk. Right on schedule. Sir, we've delivered the items as requested. Thank you, Edward. She's here now, actually. She's quite upset. She's saying there's been some mistake. There's no mistake. I'm the sole resident on the lease. I've updated the authorized guest list. She's no longer on it. Understood, sir. We'll handle it appropriately. I could hear her voice in the background, getting louder. Edward remained professional. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to lower your voice. This is a private building, and we have noise policies. She grabbed the phone. I heard her breathing hard. What are you doing? This is insane. You can't just lock me out of my own home. It's not your home, I said calmly. It never was. Check the lease if you don't believe me. My name, my signature, my bank account paying rent every month for the past 2 years. That's not. We live together. You can't just. I can. And I did. Edward has a suitcase with your essentials. Everything else will be arranged for pickup later. Where am I supposed to go? I took a sip of my coffee. Last night, you told me you had options. You said you could find someone else who understood what it meant to be with you. Someone who appreciated being your support system. Silence on the other end. So go find them. I continued. I'm sure one of your 40,000 followers would love to help you out. Or maybe that guy who's always commenting fire emojis on your posts. I bet he's got a spare room. You're being cruel. No, I'm being genuine. You wanted genuine, right? Here it is. You told me I depend on you more than you depend on me. So prove it. Show me how independent you actually are. I need my things. Edward will give you the suitcase. That's all you're getting today. Have a good one. I hung up, blocked the number, went back to my coffee. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from her actual number, probably her last one before the service cut off. I hate you. I finished my coffee, left a generous tip, and walked out into the sunshine. For the first time in 4 years, I had absolutely nothing scheduled. No one to check in with. No lifestyle to fund. No performance to attend. Just me and an entire afternoon of freedom. I spent the afternoon doing something I hadn't done in years. I went to a bookstore, browsed for an hour, bought 3 novels I'd been meaning to read. Then I caught a movie. Middle of the day, theater almost empty, no one talking or checking their phone every 5 minutes. When I finally checked my phone again around 6 p.m., I had messages from people I actually hadn't heard from in a while. Her friends. Well, people I'd thought were her friends. Aubrey, hey, what's going on? She's posting some cryptic stuff and blowing up everyone's phones. Nora, she said you guys broke up? She's staying at Christine's, but she seems really upset. I didn't respond to either of them. What was there to say? But I was curious about the cryptic posts, So I checked her social media. I'd never unfollowed her, never blocked her there. Wanted to see how she'd spin this. Her latest post was a photo from last night. Us at the restaurant, taken early in the evening before everything went sideways. She'd captioned it. Sometimes the people you trust most show you who they truly are. Heartbroken, but grateful for the lesson. Broken heart. The comments were exactly what you'd expect. Hundreds of her followers telling her she deserved better, that whoever hurt her wasn't worth it, that she was a queen. But then I noticed other comments. Ones that weren't quite as sympathetic. Girl, didn't you just post yesterday about how your man took you to Meridian? What happened in 24 hours? Wait, so he took you to a fancy dinner and now you're heartbroken? I'm confused. This is vague. What actually happened? She wasn't responding to those, only hearting the ones that supported her narrative. Then I saw a comment from someone named Mason. If he's the one who paid for everything you post about, maybe think about why he left before you play victim. That comment had been deleted within minutes, but I'd seen it. My phone rang. Christine. I answered this time. Okay, what the hell happened? She didn't sound angry. She sounded confused. She showed up at my place this afternoon with one suitcase, crying, saying you locked her out and canceled her cards and basically destroyed her life. Did she tell you what happened at dinner last night? She said you guys had a fight about her phone usage. That's one way to describe it. Christine sighed. Look, I've known her for 5 years. I love her, but I'm not stupid. She lives a certain lifestyle. I've always wondered how she afforded it since she doesn't exactly have a traditional job. She doesn't afford it. I do. Did. Yeah, I'm starting to put that together. There was a pause. She told me she needs to stay here for a while. How long are we talking? That's between you and her. Not my problem anymore. Fair enough. Another pause. Can I ask what she said that made you do all this? Because this is pretty nuclear. I told her, verbatim, every word from the restaurant. Christine was quiet for a long moment. Oh wow. Yeah. She's not getting that ring she kept hinting about, is she? I returned it this morning. Good. Christine's voice was firm. Look, she's my friend, but that was out of line. Way out of line. She can stay on my couch for a week, maybe 2. But I'm not running a hotel here, and I'm definitely not funding her lifestyle either. I appreciate you telling me that. One more thing, Christine said. That guy who's always commenting on her posts? Sebastian something? She's been texting him all afternoon. Pretty sure she's trying to line up her next situation. Good luck to him. Christine laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. I give it 3 days before he figures out what you already know. Anyway, I should go. She's having a meltdown because her phone service just cut off. Right on schedule. I hung up and sat there for a minute, processing. She was already trying to find a replacement. Already lining up the next person to fund her lifestyle. Part of me felt sorry for Sebastian, whoever he was. But mostly, I felt relieved that it wasn't my problem anymore. That evening, I went back to the penthouse. Our penthouse. My penthouse. The space felt different now. Bigger. Quieter. I walked through each room, noticing things I'd stopped seeing. The expensive throw pillows that cost more than they had any right to. The artwork she'd insisted on that I'd never liked. The coffee table books that were just for show. I started making a list of what was actually mine versus what was hers. Turned out, most of the flashy stuff was hers. The things that mattered, the comfortable couch, the decent TV, the kitchen equipment I actually used, that was all mine. I ordered takeout from a place I liked, but she'd always vetoed because it wasn't Instagram worthy. Ate it straight from the container while watching a game she'd always complained about. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is so unfair. I gave you 4 years. You owe me more than this. I stared at that message for a full minute. Then I typed back. You're right. I do owe you something. I owe you honesty. So here it is. You gave me 4 years of being your ATM, your photographer, your audience, and your backup plan. I gave you 4 years of thinking that was love. We're even now. Don't contact me again. I blocked the number. Then I poured myself a drink, put my feet up, and enjoyed the silence. 2 weeks went by. I didn't hear from her directly, but I heard about her. Christine texted me once to say she'd moved out after 6 days because boundaries needed to be established. Apparently, expecting someone to contribute to groceries when staying on their couch was unsupportive during a crisis. I also heard through Aubrey that the Sebastian situation had crashed and burned spectacularly. Turns out, he was 24, worked as a personal trainer, and lived with 2 roommates. He'd been thrilled to take her to dinner twice. right up until she suggested he help her find a new place to stay and maybe cover her phone bill. He'd stopped answering her messages after that. Her social media presence changed too. The posts got less frequent. The captions got vaguer. The engagement dropped. Turned out, when you can't afford the lifestyle you're posting about, the content gets stale pretty quickly. I, on the other hand, was doing just fine. Better than fine, actually. I'd taken the money I'd been spending on her lifestyle and invested it in myself. New running shoes. A gym membership I actually used. I signed up for a cooking class I'd been interested in for years, but never had time for because I was too busy being her personal assistant. I reconnected with Henry, my best friend from college. We'd drifted apart over the past few years. Looking back, I could see why. Every time he'd wanted to grab a beer or catch a game, I'd been busy with her schedule, her events, her needs. Man, I'm glad you're back, Henry said one night over pizza. I'm not gonna lie, we all thought you'd lost yourself in that relationship. We all, the guys, Aaron, Levi, we'd talk about it sometimes. How you just kind of disappeared, stopped coming to things, always had some excuse. I thought about that. He was right. I had disappeared, slowly, gradually, until I barely recognized myself. Well, I'm back now. Yeah, you are. Henry grinned. And you seem lighter somehow, like you're not carrying around extra weight. He had no idea how accurate that was. Around week 3, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered. Hi, this is Penny from Web Financial Consulting. I'm calling on behalf of a client who's interested in discussing a potential reconciliation and financial arrangement. I almost laughed. Let me guess. She hired you to negotiate with me. There was a pause. I'm not at liberty to discuss the specifics, but my client is willing to come to an agreement regarding shared assets and ongoing support in exchange for. Stop right there. There are no shared assets. Everything was in my name. She contributed nothing financially to our relationship, and there will be no ongoing support. Tell your client I said no. Actually, tell your client to stop wasting money on consultants when she should be looking for a job. Sir, I don't think you understand the situation. No, I understand it perfectly. Your client wants me to keep funding her lifestyle. The answer is no. It was no yesterday. It'll be no tomorrow. Save yourself some time and bill her for this call. Goodbye. I hung up and immediately blocked that number too. Henry texted me later that day. Dude, you free Saturday? Some of us are going hiking. For the first time in years, I didn't have to check with anyone. Didn't have to see if it conflicted with her schedule. Didn't have to make sure she'd be okay if I took a day for myself. I just texted back. Yeah, I'm in. That Saturday, standing at the top of a trail with guys who'd known me since before I became someone's accessory, I realized something. I couldn't remember the last time I'd felt this calm, this present, this much like myself. My phone was in my backpack, turned off. No one was calling. No one was demanding my attention. No one was making me feel guilty for existing. You good? Aaron asked, handing me a water bottle. Yeah, I said and meant it. I'm good. On the drive back, Henry brought it up. So, have you heard from her at all? She tried to hire a financial consultant to negotiate with me. The car erupted in laughter. She did what? Levi couldn't stop laughing. Negotiate what? Money she never earned. Basically. That's wild. Aaron shook his head. What did you say? I told them no and hung up. Good. Henry glanced at me from the driver's seat. You know what I respect most about how you handled this? You didn't drag it out. You didn't play games. You just removed yourself from a bad situation and moved on. That takes guts. I thought about the ring, about the dinner, about the moment I realized I'd been auditioning for a role I never wanted. It wasn't guts, I said. It was just finally being honest with myself about what I deserved, which is more than being someone's backup plan. Henry nodded. Damn right. That night, I got home to my quiet penthouse, made myself dinner, put on music I liked, read one of those books I'd bought, and for the first time in 4 years, I went to bed without wondering if I was enough, because I finally understood that I'd always been enough. She was the one who wasn't. 3 months later, I was standing in the kitchen of my new place. Not the penthouse. I'd left that behind. This was a house. Smaller, sure, but it was mine in a way that penthouse never was. I'd bought it outright with the money I'd saved by not funding someone else's fantasy life. It had a yard, a garage, a neighborhood where people actually talked to each other instead of just posing for photos. I was making breakfast when my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I'd gotten better about ignoring those, but something made me check this one. It was long. Paragraphs. I skimmed it. The words, "I've had time to think, and I realize now, and we were good together," jumped out. So did "I've changed, and I got a job, and I understand what I did wrong." The message ended with, "I'm not asking you to take me back right away. I just want a chance to show you I'm different now, that I can be the partner you deserved. Please, just coffee. Just talk to me." I read it twice. Then I set my phone down and finished cooking my eggs. Here's the thing about people who show you who they are. You should believe them the first time. She'd shown me exactly who she was that night at Meridian. Someone who saw relationships as transactions. Someone who measured worth in followers and appearances. Someone who thought love was something you negotiated. And yeah, maybe she did get a job. Maybe she did have some kind of revelation when her lifestyle collapsed. But that wasn't my problem to fix. That wasn't my responsibility to validate. I'd spent 4 years trying to be enough for someone who would never think anyone was enough. I picked up my phone and typed, "I'm glad you're doing better. I genuinely hope you figure out what you're looking for. But I'm not it. I'm not your second chance. I'm not your redemption story. I'm just someone who finally learned that the best thing I could do was walk away. Take care of yourself." I hit send. Then I blocked the number. No anger. No satisfaction. No triumph. Just closure. I ate my breakfast in peace. Then I headed out to meet Henry and the guys for our monthly hiking trip. It had become a tradition. The first Saturday of every month, we'd hit a different trail. Sometimes Aaron brought his dog. Sometimes Levi brought his girlfriend. It was easy, uncomplicated, fun. As I drove, I thought about the ring I'd almost given her, about the life I'd almost committed to, about the version of myself I'd almost locked into permanently. I dodged a bullet. No, I dodged a missile. My phone rang. It was Henry. "Hey, we're running about 20 minutes late. Aaron can't find his hiking boots." "No problem. I'll grab coffee and meet you guys at the trailhead." "Perfect. Oh, and Levi's bringing someone. Friend of his girlfriend. Just so you know there'll be someone new." "Cool." I stopped at a local coffee shop. Not a chain. Just a small place run by a guy named Randall who made the best pour-over in the city. While I waited for my order, I glanced at the bulletin board. Local events. Art classes. A book club meeting on Thursdays. A book club. Not the kind where people posed with wine glasses and didn't actually discuss the book. Just people who liked reading. I took a photo of the flyer with my phone. "Dark roast, no room," Randall called out. I grabbed my coffee, left a tip, and headed to my car. The morning was clear. Temperature perfect. I had nowhere to be except exactly where I wanted to be. When I got to the trailhead, everyone was already there. Henry waved me over. "There he is. Guys, you remember my buddy who rejoined the land of the living?" Aaron grinned. The legend himself. Levi's girlfriend, Quinn, smiled. "Good to see you again. This is my friend Nora. She just moved here from Portland." Nora was wearing practical hiking boots and a sweatshirt from some 5K run. No makeup. No phone in her hand. She shook my hand with a firm grip. "Nice to meet you." "Likewise." We started up the trail. The conversation flowed naturally. Nora was funny. Asked good questions. Actually listened to the answers. At one point, she mentioned working as a graphic designer and the challenges of freelancing. "Sounds like you're building something sustainable," I said. "Trying to. I'd rather build slowly and keep my independence than compromise for quick money." I nodded. "I respect that." We hiked for 3 hours. When we got back to the parking lot, everyone was making plans for lunch. "You coming?" Henry asked. I checked my watch. "Yeah, I'm in." As we caravaned to the restaurant, I caught myself smiling. Not because of Nora specifically, though she seemed cool, just because this was my life now. Spontaneous plans with actual friends. No performance required. No one to check in with. No one measuring my worth by what I could provide. At lunch, Nora mentioned the book club I'd seen on the flyer. "Oh, you saw that too? I've been thinking about going." "Yeah? Maybe I'll check it out." "We should both go. Safety in numbers for the first time." "Deal." After lunch, I drove home to my house with the yard and the garage and the neighbors who waved hello. I made myself dinner. Watched whatever I wanted. Went to bed early because I had work in the morning and I actually cared about showing up rested. Before I fell asleep, I thought about that message she'd sent. The one asking for another chance. For years ago, I would have said yes. Would have convinced myself that people change. That love means giving infinite chances. Now I understood something different. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let someone go. Let them figure out their own life without using you as a safety net. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is refuse to be someone's backup plan ever again. I was enough. I'd always been enough. And somewhere out there was someone who'd know that without needing to be taught. Until then, I was doing just fine on my own.